Good evening, Toastmasters. Thank you for coming to another great meeting. This meeting is now in order. Welcome to the Coral Gables Toastmasters. My name is Mario Litano, your Sergeant at Arms tonight. I'm very happy to see everyone here. And I will now be introducing the meeting and going over a few of our meeting guidelines. Oops. Okay, all speakers and functionaries, please click on your name on Zoom and rename and include your role and your first and last name. Mute your audio during the speeches. Use reaction buttons on Zoom for virtual reactions. Send private messages to the speakers for feedback if you wish to do so. You may unmute during the introduction of the meeting, the closing remarks, the awards presentation. Former members and Toastmasters from other clubs may take on functionary roles and may be voted on for best table topics and best evaluator. Other guests can participate in the table topics, but cannot be voted for best table topics. All functionary roles and speaking roles will be granted co-host privileges to share screen if needed. I will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any and all images taken during this meeting will be used expressly for club social media purposes only. And now I will introduce our president, Mr. Lucas Calafell.
Thank you, Mario, for getting us started, and welcome everyone to the August 25th Coral Gables Toastmasters meeting. If you are brand new to Toastmasters or just brand new to our club, we certainly welcome you and we hope that you have an enjoyable experience. What I'd like to do now, before I hand it off to our Toastmaster of the evening, is to hear a little bit from each guest that we have visiting us tonight. And I'm going to go from the order that I see on my screen. Let's hear from our guest, Gina, just to give us a brief introduction.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Gina White. I am actually the area director for 54, which Coral Gables is a club. I am happy to be here and looking forward to participating in the meeting.
And thank you once again for volunteering to be our grammarian. Maria Calderon, please unmute and give us a brief introduction.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Calderon. This is my first time actually being in Toastmasters.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for your introduction. Just to give you some feedback, your audio, your microphone is very, very low, so it's very difficult for us to hear you.
Okay.
So you can adjust that, but we'll move on and we'll come back to you towards the end of the meeting to get your feedback. Let's hear from Celsi. Please unmute and give us a brief introduction.
Hi all, my name is Celsi Soto and my first Toastmasters meeting, and I'm really excited. I was referred by Raul Toastmasters, Berta Garcia Medina, and she told me to practice my speaking here, and I'm really excited. So nice to meet you all, and happy Wednesday night.
Thank you, Celsi, and welcome.
Thank you.
Let's hear from Genesis. Please unmute.
Hi everyone, my name is Genesis. I actually heard about Toastmasters through Eventbrite, and I do education for a living. So I just want to go ahead and improve my skills. So I figured I'd join a club or check it out and see where it takes me.
Awesome, welcome. And last but not least, I see Heather. Feel free to unmute.
Hello, I was referred by James, I'm a human resources director and do a lot of public speaking. James is a phenomenal speaker, and so we asked him what his secret was, and he said, you guys. So I'm curious to see what it's all about.
Fantastic. And welcome. We hope that you find value out of the meeting and of Toastmasters as a whole. And with that said, I'd like to hand off the virtual stage to a longtime member of Coral Gables Toastmasters, somebody that has served in many officer positions in previous years, and somebody that is certainly a cornerstone of our club. Give it up for Toastmaster Patrick Flood.
Thank you so much, Lucas. And let me just start by saying it is always really inspiring to see a diverse range of guests, everyone motivated to become a better, more confident public speaker. We come in all shapes and sizes, all ages and colors, and all walks of life. And it is a pretty consistent thread for personally and professionally to want to be able to speak intelligently, whether it's for a work function, for a toast at a wedding, for professional and personal growth. So as your Toastmaster, I am happy to be leading today's meeting. And the theme is, excuse me, called Day Tight Compartments. Now, let me ask this. Who here has heard of the writer Dale Carnegie? Anyone, raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, I'm some of our younger members might not, but he was a writer in the 1940s, and he wrote two very famous books: How to Win Friends and Influence People, and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And so Dale Carnegie courses are in some ways comparable to Toastmasters. They are very structured, and people go up and give speeches. I took the course in college, and this one particular phrase from the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Oh, here we go. Thanks, Genesis. Excellent. Day Tight Compartments has stayed with me for 30 plus years. And so Carnegie starts with an anecdote about a famous knight named Sir William Oslo, who was a medical student in Montreal, and he was literally sick and consumed with worry. He had final exams, he was stressed out, and it was disconcerting. He found a quote from a book that literally changed his life. It was from a gentleman by the name of Thomas Carlyle. And it said, "Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly ahead." So, I mean, essentially this means, in today's day and age, do the best that you can today. For those of us who are meditators, focus on the here and now. There's so much that can be accomplished in one day, and all of us have pressures with work, with all aspects of life. But if you, as a professional and as a person, do your very best each and every day, the day tight compartments where you're not looking ahead or you're not looking behind, you're focused on the present tense, the task at hand. That is always the goal. So that's the meeting's theme. And let's think about that and how we can apply it in our lives. I am now going to, again, for guests, the functionary roles, the objective is to get all members to participate and have a speaking role. So I will introduce the functionaries and they will explain what they are doing. First up, we have our counter, who is Felix Jimenez. Felix, welcome.
Greetings, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of the counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, so, and I will also listen for filler sounds, including and will report the number of times that each speaker has used these expressions. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Felix. And again, we are having a little bit of audio, and this in the time of Zoom and COVID. This is we appreciate everyone's patience. This stuff happens. Next up, I would like to introduce our grammarian, Gina White. Gina.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, I am also responsible for introducing the word of today. And the word of the day is recompense. Recompense, an equivalent or return for something done, suffered, or given, to give something by way of compensation. Recompense is our word of the day. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Gina. Recompense, a challenging word of the day, and speakers, let's try to implement it when you're called on. Next up is our timer, and that is our timer Mario? Oh, Catherine, I'm so sorry. Catherine, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. As timer, I'll be timing the table topic speakers, the formal speeches, and the evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards on my screen. I'll show you in a second, which denote the different times remaining. So tonight we don't have any icebreakers. We just have Rachel. So the speech timing will be between 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 6 minutes, the yellow card. And at 7 minutes, the red card. For table topics, I'll raise the green card at 1 minute, yellow card at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the red card at 2 minutes. And then tonight for our round robin evaluation, this will be special. Everyone will get a minute and I'll just automatically raise the red card at the end. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Catherine. And last up for our functionaries is our vote counter, who is Mario. Mario.
When people do their speeches, you'll be told to send a message to me within Zoom on who you will vote for best speaker for whatever they are, the icebreaker or the evaluation. So just send me a message and then I'll note it down. And throughout the meeting, we'll be asked to see who, what is your, who won that particular one. So I'll keep track of the votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. And again, guests, we usually have 2 or 3 speakers. For tonight's meeting, we have 1, and we will have, well, I guess we will vote on the 1 minute evaluations, but our featured speaker will have the best speaker wrapped up. And nonetheless, we are very interested to hear from our speaker, Rachel. And Rachel's speech, her pathways is presentation mastery, connect with storytelling. The title of Rachel's speech is Self-Rescue at 4 years old. Rachel, the floor is yours.
Thank
you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Sorry, Rachel, if I can just interject very, very quick and then hand off back to you. Wei Wen will be giving a formal evaluation for Rachel, so we will no longer be doing round robin. We will only do the formal evaluation. Back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Lucas. Good evening, everyone. The project of my pathway today at this level is storytelling. As I reflected upon the various stories of my life that defined who I am today, I arrived to tell a story of 4-year-old me rescuing myself from a trench on a bitter, cold winter afternoon. My mom is a professor at a local community college. The college she worked for is a fenced campus with a gate at the front. The college campus is around 30 acres, and it encompasses multiple school buildings, gardens, and playgrounds. I basically grew up on that campus. Being that my mom taught a lot of classes, she allowed me to roam around the campus freely and play to my heart's content because safety was not an issue in her mind as the campus is fenced and gated. I'm from the northeast part of China, where the climate is continental. Winter can be dry and cold as the area is influenced by cold air from Siberia. The average temperature in the winter is -11 Celsius, which is around 12 Fahrenheit. During the winter, people typically dress in layers. My usual winter outfits consisted of thermal, knee pants, sweater, and then another thick coat of pants and coat as the outer layer. Something that's totally incomprehensible in Miami. On one bone-chilling cold winter afternoon, I was playing outside of a building by myself. The school was undergoing a construction project to repair a pipe, so there was a long trench dig out the ground around the perimeter of the campus. On this day, the construction worker happened to have the day off. As I was playing near the trench, the clear water at the bottom of the trench caught my attention, and as it was rare to see running water outside at that time of the year. Driven by my innate curiosity, I jumped into the trench to play with the water. I remember there was a small stream of ice cold water flowing out of the pipes, and my tiny little hands got red from the cold water after playing with the water for a short while. I soon lost interest, and by the time I realized where I was at the bottom of the trench by myself. The trench was narrow, and I could not open my arm without touching the cold trench wall, which was twice of my height. It looked endless from both sides. After realizing my situation, I immediately attempted to climb out of the trench. Unfortunately, the trench wall was cold and slippery, and every time I struggled desperately to grab my finger onto a small protruded rock to pull myself out of the trench, the rock and mud would slide away from me and I'd fall onto the bottom of the trench again. Soon, my hands was covered by mud and dirt. What made the situation even worse was at the bottom of the trench was covered by water leaking from the pipe. Soon, ice cold water started to soak into my shoes, and I could feel ice in my toes. I began to panic and scream for help. I must have been screaming for help for at least 20 minutes, but no one came to help me. With additional failed attempt to climb out and seek an exit, I grew even anxious as I noticed the fading of the day as darkness drew even nearer, and with it, the prospect of a cold Siberian nightfall. Suddenly, I heard my mom was calling my name. She must be looking everywhere for me. Excited and relieved at the same time, I started yelling with all I got, "Mom, Mom, I am here, I am here." However, her voice calling my name grew fainter and fainter until there was nothing but silence. I cried and wept, knowing that there was no one knew that I was here at the bottom of a trench where not a soul could hear me. It was at that precise moment I realized no one could save me from this abyss except myself. I began looking around the trench wall and finally found some large rocks. I put one hand on one rock and another hand on another rock and pushed as hard as I could to support myself. I was too heavy and kept falling. It dawned on me that it would be easier if I were lighter. Suddenly, I had a thought. I must take off what I was wearing to be lighter. So I took off my winter coat, sweater, all the pants, and knee pants, and only kept one layer. I threw my clothes out of the trench and started climbing again. This time, I felt lighter, and with one hand after another, one foot after another, I finally was able to put my hand outside of the trench and held the ground. With one last push, I finally was able to put my hand outside of the trench and held the ground. I finally found the freedom from the bottomless chasm of the trench and never looked back. I was exhausted, physically unable to stand. I crawled on the ground. A few minutes later, my mom found me. She was furious initially as she saw me only wearing one thin layer of clothes. But soon after realizing the subsequent event that had just transpired, she cried and took me home as fast as she possibly could. I was wrapped in warm clothes and fed with hot soup that night. The school heard about my incident and promised to never leave a trench open like that ever again. This experience built my character from a young age and made me realize there are times that I am the only person that can make a difference in my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And that was outstanding. What a harrowing experience. And I think we are all grateful that you emerged from that trench and were saved by your mother. Okay, on to, let's actually go to our timer. Catherine, did Rachel make the qualify with her speech?
She did. Sorry, Rachel, I was so wrapped up in your story. I forgot to change the cards, but I stopped it right when you were done. You were at 6 minutes and 58 seconds.
Fantastic. Well done, Rachel. Okay, that brings us to the second part of our meeting, which should be of interest to everyone, and that is table topics. And I will now hand off to our table topics master, Lucas Calafell. Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. The purpose of table topics is to allow our members to speak off the cuff, to get put on the spot, be asked a question, and have to give an answer up to 1 minute in length, but no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds in length. If you are a guest and you feel like you would want to participate, use the raise hand function in Zoom so that we can see that you have your hand up, well, the hand emoji, and time permitting, we will get to you, but we will go with members first. So I see Gina. Okay, great. All right. So in the theme of this meeting, we talked about the compartments and taking it one day at a time. I want to kind of shift a little bit and talk about worries and stress and how we navigate that. So let's start off pretty simple. How do you deal with stress? James.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster. I'm very excited to be a new member of this club and speak a little bit about how I manage stress. As mentioned towards the beginning of this meeting, my supervisor is here, so I feel an extra layer of pressure. However, this is a common question that I ask as a human resources manager because I do find that I'm frequently interviewing individuals who'd like to find jobs. So it's caused me to question how I deal with my own stress. Something that I particularly enjoy doing that I think I've mentioned before is typically when the house is empty, I will dance like a crazy person. That's something that I find relieves a lot of stress. You know, it's productive, it's a form of exercise, and it's just so freeing when you can flail your body about and just, you know, go with the music and dance as though no one is watching. Also, I feel like it's training in progress in case I ever make it as a pop star. You know, I'm very influenced by Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Rihanna, all of the greats. So dancing like a crazy person is definitely something that inspires me. However, I do feel as though I would need to recompense someone who caught and found themselves watching me because they'd probably be traumatized. So thank you for the question, Lucas.
And thank you for the answer. Moving on. How do you focus on the here and now? Klaus.
Thank you for the question, Table Topics Master. What works, I think that's really personal, and everyone has a different way to focus on the here and now. I used to go to church in the past, and that would help me a lot to just focus on the here and now, to let go of the past, to choose a path of forgiveness, to choose a path of gratitude, and that being involved in my spirituality helped me a lot to just forget about trivial things in life or objectivity and just focus on a world of gratefulness and a world of just for not worry too much about things that have no meaning. Just being grateful for my health, grateful that nobody in my family is sick, or being grateful for being here in this group with you guys. So a lot of things to be grateful for. Thank you very much. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Klaus. How would you help someone get through a stressful situation? Mario.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I would say the best way to get somebody or to console or mentor somebody is by listening to what they have to say and being an active listener, not giving so much advice or judgment. I think that's the most effective way that I've experienced. In the past, you know, when I was younger, I had a different outlook, and I would try to give people advice and telling them what to do or what they should do or what had worked for me. But I find now, as I'm older, that the best way to help people that are going through a difficult time is just by being there for them and listening and being supportive. And so that's probably the best way that I would be able to help. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mario. If you had to write a book about dealing with stress, what would the title be and why? Felix.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I think the book would be titled, if I had to write a book about dealing with stress, is Life is Short, Enjoy It. But with that said, I have reflected on this topic And I've realized that I myself have always been a worrier, and has helped me to my advantage because I've been able to analyze and maybe overanalyze things, but it has led to a lot of success in almost everything I've done, but it has taken a toll. And stress does, catch up to you after a while. And you eventually realize that there's more to life than just stressing about it. You will deal with whatever comes before you. You will get through it. We will all get through it. There is recompense at the end of everything that you deal with, no matter how difficult it is. It's day by day. And if that doesn't work, take a Xanax. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Okay, thank you very much, Felix. What would it take to not have any worries? Catherine, and I will time you, so you don't need to worry about that.
To not have any worries, I think you would just have to be dead, because I think everyone will always have worries no matter who you are or how much money you have. It's unique to everyone. Once you're a mom, I know all my friends are having babies now, and that's a whole another level of worry, from worrying about the real things to the hypotheticals. And when we're younger, and many of us say, like money is always a big issue, and how much is in the bank account. And it's one of those things where you can never have enough money. that line always keeps moving. But even the people that make it have ton of worry still. And you can be Bill Gates and still have a divorce that blows up in the press. I'm sure that made him eat a lot of Tums at night. But I think the best you can do is just to know what your triggers are and try to mitigate it, and to keep a balanced mind. And one thing I learned through the pandemic, because I'm one of those people who I'll start to spiral and think about the hypotheticals, but I think about the worst case scenario and what's the worst thing that can happen. So what if I really mess something up at my job? Absolute worst case scenario, which is unlikely, I get fired. Okay, well then that worry goes away. And then I'm not gonna be worried about that presentation anymore, which is unlikely, but it kind of calms me down. So that's it. And I think we all have to learn our coping mechanisms. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster or Table Master.
Thank you, Catherine, for sharing your perspective. Let's see, I do have a few questions left. Let me see if we have gone through all of our members that don't necessarily have speaking roles. I think we have done so. So I'd like to call on our guest, Gina. And the question is, can social media increase our worries? If so, in what way or ways?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're words that you hear constantly. And with each, it comes an opinion. And in the past, in the old days, when people had opinions, you would see it in formats where it would be, you could differentiate the real from the fake. However, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these sites have made it now that it's difficult for you to navigate the real from the fake. And as a result, you have a lot of tribalism. You have a lot of stress. You have a lot, I enjoy Facebook. I think Facebook is a wonderful tool to connect with people who you haven't seen in a while. There are people who I haven't seen since high school, but I can still keep up with them. So my thing is social media. It is good. It can be good. However, it is definitely a source of a lot of stress and, just being able to navigate what's real versus what's not, that, adds to the stressors of all. That's it, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Gina. I don't think that we have any more guests that would like to give it a shot. And if that remains the case, okay, I think Celsi is the thumbs up. Does that mean you're volunteering?
Yeah, sorry, this will be my first time, but why not, right?
Okay, give it a shot. We appreciate your participation. All right, what activity you would do? What activity would you do, if you had no fear?
If I had no fear, which I have a ton of fears, I try to work through them. Every day is, different fear, especially during this pandemic. But if I had no fears, I would bungee jump. And my friends have done it and they're all have tried to get me to go. But I think it is extremely frightening to just jump off a bridge at the tie of your foot and have that backlash. And I just think that that is so scary. And I wish that I didn't have that fear, because I've heard that it is such an exhilarating feeling and a lot of fun and such a way to look at life in a different point of view, kind of backwards and upside down. And I wish that I could do that. So thank you for the question, Mr. Toastmaster Table Topic, sir, right?
No worries, Celsi.
That's
Thank you for
fine.
your participation.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that wraps up our table topic session. So what I'll do quickly is give a recap on the questions and the answers, and then we'll get a timers report after that to see who qualified. For the benefit of our guests, just so you know, if you did participate as a guest, you can certainly vote for the best table topic speaker. However, you cannot be voted on. So in a sense, guests cannot win best table topic speaker, but they can surely participate and cast their own ballots. And from what I see, all members have qualified. Catherine, can you confirm that?
Yes, everyone qualified.
Okay, fantastic. So just to recap, how do you deal with stress? James, dance when the house is empty. How do you focus on the here and now? Klaus, used to go to church. Let's go to the past, indulges in, gets spiritually involved and has a attitude of gratitude. How would you help someone get through a stressful situation? Mario actively listens, has a non-judgmental attitude, and is supportive of that person. If you had to write a book about dealing with stress, what would it be? And Felix said it would be called Life is Short. Enjoy it. Take it day by day. Stress will catch up to you. So certainly understand that there's more to life and keep that front and center. What would it take to not have any worries? Catherine said, you really can't get away from any worries, no matter how much money, how many resources you have, there's always going to be something to worry about. Can social media increase our worries? If so, how? And Gina said that social media makes it a little bit difficult for us to navigate what's true and what is false, or what is partially true or partially false, and all kinds of mixes. And there's a lot of tribalism, but there are some good aspects of social media. What is an activity you would do if you had no fear? And Celsi said that she would go bungee jumping. And that wraps up our table topic session. We have our qualifying times, so feel free to send a private message to our vote counter, Mario, to cast your ballot for your favorite table topics speaker. With that said, I'm going to hand it back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Patrick Flood. Over to you.
Thank you, Lucas. And are you also the general evaluator, or who will be general evaluating?
That will be me, so you'll just throw it back to me. I just
Well,
wanted to give you a
let me
chance.
sneak this comment in here so I can do the following. The recompense for talking about worrying and stress is that we've heard some wonderful, funny perspectives that alleviate stress. So really, really well done and good to hear from everyone. With that, let me hand off to Lucas, who will be serving as our general evaluator. Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As the general evaluator, part of my role is to introduce our speech evaluators. In the case of this meeting, we have one speech evaluator, which is Wei-Wen Wong. Another part of my role is to ask for the functionaries to give their reports and to evaluate the meeting as a whole. What I will do first is introduce our first speech evaluator, who will be evaluating Rachel Shu's speech. Please welcome Wei-Wen Wong.
Thank you, Lucas. It is my great honor to evaluate your speech, Rachel, today. And I think everyone can agree it has been a while when every member and guest was totally engaged with your speech. I like to have the gallery view on so that I can see everyone's reaction. Everyone was that focused on you. And we can see that our timer, Catherine, forgot to flag you for the visual cues. And me as the evaluator forgot to take notes. That's how captivating your speech is. I think for that 6 minutes of time, everyone was with you, the 4-year-old Rachel, to see how you can survive this dreadful situation. We were with you when you were at the bottom of the trench, when you first tried to climb up on the smaller rocks and failed, especially when you heard your mom's voice, which faded away. That is a very dramatic and descriptive narrative. I love it. And eventually you figure out at 4 years old that you were too heavy and you need to get rid of some layers so that you can climb up those bigger rocks to get out. I don't know about everyone else. I won't be able to figure out at 4 years old, 14 years old, 24 years old, even 34 years old. You won't have a speech evaluator tonight, okay? If I was at the bottom of that trench. So what a intelligent and calm decision you made at such a young age. And for those people who don't know, Rachel is actually a mechanical engineer by training. So we can tell she was a natural. It is very difficult for me to give any constructive feedback for such an captivating speech. The only thing I can think of is to maybe have a more powerful beginning. I think one time Patrick mentioned to me, although we always have an objective for our project, you don't need to mention it. One skill that I learned from some veteran speakers from our club, like Jose Salcedo, is that he will give us a time, a year, a date. Maybe you can say it was a winter night in 1995. I was 4 years old and at the bottom of a trench. And that was the day that I realized I have to rely on myself to survive. Something like that, so that everyone was engaged right away. And then you tell your whole story. So that's the only feedback I can give to you. And I'm looking forward to more exciting stories from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wei-Wen, for your insightful evaluation. Now what I'd like to do is call on each of our different functionaries. And actually, first off, I would like to start off with our timer, Catherine. Did Wei-Wen meet the time restrictions of formal evaluation?
She did. The full time was 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
Okay, fantastic. So by default, Wei-Wen, you are the best evaluator. So congrats there. And our next functionary that I'm going to call on is our grammarian, Gina.
Rachel, I too, like everyone else, was captivated by your speech, but I did manage to find one quote that you stated that it resonated with me. Sometimes I'm the only person who can make a difference in my life. I felt that was that I felt something with that. Patrick, you started out with your role as Toastmaster when you were explaining the theme of the day, but you said something again that kind of stuck with me. Do the best you can today. So often we focus on tomorrow and the next day, but in the now, in the present, do the best you can today. And Felix, you encapsulated everything when you stated, life is short, enjoy it. This journey is limited, and if we spend our time focusing on what the negative, it's wasted time. So those were three things, quotes that came out that sort of stuck with me. The word of the day. 3 people used the word of the day. James used it once, Felix once, and Patrick used the word of the day once. As it relates to comments with the grammar clause, when you were speaking, you stated, I used to go to church. And it probably best, I attended church as opposed to I used to go to church. That probably attended church would probably be a little more grammatically acceptable. And let's see. Rachel, when I was listening to you, there were words that were said, but I then understood that it was actually your accent. So I didn't count that against you. But again, I really enjoyed your presentation, the 4-year-old you. I just have that picture, the 4-year-old you climbing out of that on those rocks. So thank you. That's my report, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Gina. Let's hear from our counter, Felix.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Mr. President. Going down the list, Rachel had a perfect score. James had 1 and 1 so. Klaus had 2 ums. Mario 1 and 1 Gina had 3 ums. And Celsi had a perfect score. These are for the table topics. Patrick as Toastmaster had 2 ums. Lucas, both as the table topics master and as the general evaluator had a perfect score. Wei Wen had a perfect score as an evaluator. Catherine as a timer had a perfect score. Gina as grammarian had 2 ahs, 3 ums, and 1 repeat. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Felix, for your report and helping us all get better with our use and potential overuse of certain crutch words. Okay, at this point, I will go ahead and evaluate the meeting as a whole. We tend to start a little bit after 7 o'clock, but we didn't let that time get away from us. Based on the agenda, I think we are still on track to finish on time, if not slightly earlier. We did have 1 speech, 1 evaluator, but we were able to go around to all of our members who have minimal speaking roles or did not have a speaking role at all. We were able to get 2 guests to participate. So I did enjoy that as a benefit to both our members and the guests that are visiting us for the first time. Patrick, as Toastmaster, I believe you did an excellent job at making adjustments, trying to fill in the gaps of what we needed during the time. We had a guest, Gina, fill in as grammarian, which is always a great resource to have a Toastmaster that's visiting us. serve in a role. And like we do when needed, we fill in the gaps. We make sure that we provide a quality meeting, which has speeches, table topics, and evaluations. That pretty much covers my report for the meeting, and I'd like to hand it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster Patrick.
Thank you so much, Lucas. As Toastmaster, I think this has been a great meeting. Let me just conclude a bit with a little more Dale Carnegie. And again, he was writing in the 30s and 40s, but his lessons apply today. So here are a couple of the other bullet points about the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. A, see the funny side of life. B, keep busy. The worried person must lose themselves in action. C, do the very best you can. D, count your blessings and not your troubles. And then E, forget yourself by becoming interested in others. Every day, do a good deed that will put a smile of joy on someone's face. So practical and inspirational quotes, I think that should resonate for all of us. Again, focus on the present and don't, it's natural to worry a bit, but there are very tangible things you can do to be productive and to worry less. So with that, is our VP of Education not here? Lucas, do we want to assign roles for our next meeting?
Yes, Brian is unable to make it due to a work function, so I will be filling in for him and calling for the next meeting, which is going to be on September 8th, Wednesday, September 8th at 7:00 p.m. Do we have a Toastmaster of the evening for September 8th? In order to be a Toastmaster here, I believe you need to have given 3 speeches in the Pathways program. Okay, we're going to move on, but feel free to sign up on the agenda on our club website if that interests you for September 8th. How about any functionary roles, timer, grammarian, odd counter, vote counter?
I can be the vote counter next meeting.
Okay, Klaus, I have you down. Okay, how about a table topics master?
I can do table topics.
Catherine. How about our speakers? We can have up to 3 speakers. Whether you've already been a member or you're brand new to the club, you can sign up to give a speech. If you're a brand new member, you'll have to give an icebreaker. That is the first speech that all Toastmasters give when they join the club.
Oh, I'll give a speech.
Okay, James, fantastic. Any other speakers? We have 2 slots left.
I signed up to be a member. I don't know if I can do an icebreaker. I'm not sure how that works.
Okay, well, what we'll do is at
I
the
can
end
email
of
you
the
if you
meeting.
want.
Yeah, when we adjourn the meeting, I open up a breakout room for membership questions or for membership inquiries, anybody that wants to join. And then we can discuss that further. Chelsea. Okay, so if no other speakers at this time, that we're going to move on to general evaluator. Do we have a general evaluator for the September 8th meeting? How about speech evaluators?
I will speech evaluate.
Okay, Patrick, I got you down for speech evaluator. Okay,
I was just gonna say, I can double up if we need another evaluator too.
well, we'll give it time. At this time, we have 1 speaker and 1 evaluator. So if we get another speaker and we can fill in the gaps there, then it may not be necessary.
Okay.
But it's 2 weeks from now, so we'll give it some time. All right. And that's going to be added into the next meeting's agenda. Let's see what else. Okay, As far as club business, we do have our humorous and evaluation speech contest on September 22nd. Mark it down in your calendars. It's going to be posted on the calendar within our club website. All members are eligible to participate. If you want to do a humorous speech, you can go ahead and give that on September 22nd. You will participate at the club level. Winners will go on to the area level, which would include other clubs in the Coral Gables, Coconut Grove area, Miami area. So if that is something that you are interested in doing, if you are a member and you want to give a humorous speech or an evaluation speech, what that essentially is you listen to a speaker and you give your evaluation for that speaker's speech. That's a 2 to 3 minute speech. You can either email me or email Brian D. Simone. You can find his email address on the club website. And apart from that, I want to give a chance for, if you have any announcements at the area level, Gina, that you'd like to share as our Area 54 director.
Thank you, Lucas. No major announcements, only that the area contest is scheduled for October 13th at 7 p.m. We are in the process of looking for functionary roles, ballot counters, sergeant at arms. If you are interested, you can, Lucas could facilitate you reaching out to me in order for you to participate, but we'd like to have club participation in the area contest. But that's October the 13th at 7 p.m. via Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. And October 13th is a Wednesday, so it's at a club meeting time. And getting involved is definitely a great opportunity to get involved as a functionary, apart from a regular meeting, but an area contest. It's definitely a great opportunity in Toastmasters growth. Okay, what I'd like to do now is announce our winner. By default, our best speaker and best evaluator have already been selected, so there's no need to announce them. Well, actually, yeah, you know what? I'm going to announce it anyway. Our best speaker, Rachel, congrats, and our best evaluator, Wei Wen. But we had competition with our best table topics, and the best table topics winner, drum roll, is Catherine Stewart. Congrats. That covers club business and the award presentation. And now I would like to, what did you think of the meeting? Going in the order that I see on my gallery view, let's start with Celsi. What did you take away from our meeting tonight? You are on mute. No problem, no worries.
Sorry about that. So this is my first time and I wasn't sure what to expect at all. I just got recommended and, came in blindfolded basically. And I thought it was great. It was really nice to see that I'm not the only one that wants to get out there and get better at speaking. Sometimes, I don't know, I can get a little bit shy and embarrassed about what you have to say or how you say it and how you present it. So I'm excited that there's a community for this. And, everyone seems super nice and sweet, and I'm excited to all work together and hopefully we can meet together in one person. And that's it. This seems fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you, Celsi. Toastmasters is a comfortable environment where we all grow. We make mistakes when we're speaking, but that's why we're here, so that we don't make those mistakes when it really counts in job interviews and presentations and things like that. So that's why we have this platform here. Let's hear from Maria. Please unmute. Let us know what you thought of tonight's meeting. What did you take away? Okay, we can't hear you because you're on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now your audio is better.
Okay, perfect. I found you guys on Eventbrite and I wasn't sure how this was going to be, as Celsi said before. And I'm taking a laugh with me right now. Something resonated that Patrick said. No looking ahead or no looking behind you, just live the present. And that's something that definitely I'm gonna keep in mind. Is as everything is a work in process, but I'm glad that I find you guys and I'm looking forward to the next meeting.
Okay, fantastic, Maria. And guests can join us as many times as they wish. However, what membership entails is being able to give speeches, having that opportunity, pretty much a guaranteed opportunity to participate in table topics, to basically have that platform to speak at our meetings.
And also you mentioned about your website. I think I don't know what is the website.
Yeah, we can definitely post it in the chat. I'm going to do that right now. You can find us at coralgablestoastmasters.com. I just posted it in the chat. Okay, and let's hear from Heather. What did you take away from our meeting tonight?
Well, it was definitely very interesting. Like the others mentioned, I wasn't sure of what to expect. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a class or something similar. So I really wasn't sure what to expect exactly. But I was very glad to be able to listen and then hear the evaluations so that in the future I would know what to look out for, you know, things like and powerful beginnings and things like that, as well as the skill of being able to speak on the fly, because being able to speak on a topic that you have even had, even if it's 1 or 2 minutes to prepare your answer, is very different from having a question that you suddenly have to speak on and you haven't really had the chance to process what your answer is supposed to be yet. So as the tabletop questions were coming up, I was thinking about them and thinking about what would I answer if I were asked that question, and how difficult it is to answer that so quickly on the fly like that, compared to having, 5 minutes or the day before or something to compose your thoughts. So I do think that that's an interesting skill that goes beyond what I was normally expecting from public speaking.
Yes, there's certainly great value in speaking on the fly as we observed, because it helps us stay sharp and on our toes and really think quickly and come up with cohesive responses to questions that we are not expecting. And I can see that in careers, professional life, you might be in a room with an important person or whatever the case might be and ask you a random question. And unfortunately, we can't say, oh, I'll get back to you tomorrow in some cases. All right, let's hear from Genesis. What did you take away from our meeting? Feel free to unmute.
Yeah, I really enjoyed today. I love how diverse the group is. I really enjoyed the table topics master. I definitely agree with Heather. Some of my challenges is being able to present at that speed. So I'm glad I found a community that does focus on that. And overall, I just want to improve my skills. So I'm going to definitely do more research and browse around. I'm in the Miami area. I don't know if there might be another Toastmasters out this way that you guys may be able to share with me.
Yeah, there are multiple Toastmasters clubs all over the city of Miami and in Gables, Grove area. So you can definitely do your research, visit other clubs, see which club best fits for you. And the benefit of Toastmasters is that you can join more than one club. You don't have to sign a contract with one club. You can join multiple clubs. I know people that at one point in time had been part of 12 clubs. I don't know how they do it, but they did it. So there's no issue there. Okay, what I'm going to do is stop the recording. I will adjourn the meeting. And then what I'm going to do is I will open up a breakout room where if any of our guests have any questions about membership, how you can join, different things like that, definitely we're able to have a conversation in the breakout room. And If you're ready, feel like you're ready to take that next step, feel free to join. I'll be opening the room in about 5-10 seconds.